Hey, what's going on guys? Thanks for checking out this video. Today I want to talk about the differences between a video camera and a photography camera. And as video has grown increasingly in popularity over the last couple of years, the line between the two types of camera has grown very thin. So today I'm going to make a very general comparison between the two types of cameras, which I'll be referring to as a cinema camera and then a hybrid or mirrorless camera. If you'd like to see similar videos like this, please make sure to give this one a thumbs up. My business recently purchased a Sony FX9. So I've had some time to learn and use this style of camera, which I would refer to as a cinema camera. I want to take my experiences with that camera and compare it to my previous experience using mirrorless cameras for video. As you might know from my other videos, I've been using the Panasonic S1H for a while now, but I have experience with other mirrorless cameras such as the Sony A7S, but I want to keep away from comparing specific specs of these cameras and instead look at a more general comparison between the two different styles of camera to help you figure out which one might be a better fit for you. Real quick before we get started, I've been making content like this for my other channel, which is my company's channel, so be sure to check that out. I even have a specific comparison between the S1H and the FX9. So the first thing I want to talk about is image quality, and this is a really important aspect to talk about because many people assume the FX9 will just blow any mirrorless camera out of the water, which is simply not true. Today, many mirrorless cameras can shoot up to Cinema 4K, and many of them can record in even higher resolutions. Some of them even do 10-bit. The latest cameras can even record RAW over the HDMI output, something the FX9 can't even do without the addition of an extension unit. So one of my biggest takeaways from this whole thing is not all cinema cameras have superior image quality, especially not nowadays. This can be attributed to the different file types these cameras are able to record. Most mirrorless or hybrid cameras record in an H.264 or H.265 codec. For example, the Panasonic S1H can record 6K video thanks to the H.265 encoding at 200 megabytes a second. Where this seems great because you're able to record 6K video onto a normal SD card, it becomes a problem in post-production. Your computer will then have to work extra hard to recreate a lot of the information and decompress the file. Where the files from cinema cameras usually have higher data rates, which require faster cards and create bigger files. But it's often a lot better for your computer because it will have to do less work to decompress those files. This is starting to change though because a lot of the newer mirrorless cameras are able to record in intraframe or all-eye codecs like the Panasonic S1H or the Sony A7S III.
Anywhere you go, give it on. Anywhere you say, anywhere.
One major physical difference between the two types of cameras are the physical inputs available on the camera. Cinema cameras usually have both HDMI and SDI inputs, as well as XLR for audio, whereas on a mirrorless camera, you'd be lucky to find a full-size HDMI and possibly a 3.5mm audio input. Almost all monitoring devices will accept an HDMI input, but SDI is a slightly more sturdy connection, which helps to ensure that your cables won't come unplugged during a shoot. Most professional audio devices require an XLR input, which again is just a more robust connection which will lock into place. It's better suited for professional workflows. Also, a lot of cinema cameras have multiple XLR inputs, allowing you to require multiple channels of audio directly into the camera. I prefer a heavier camera when it comes to handheld shooting because you're able to get more controlled handheld movement. The downside is they're much more difficult, nearly impossible to travel with. A plus for mirrorless cameras in this category is they're much easier to mount on a gimbal or other types of stabilizers. Where cinema cameras are much more heavy, they require a higher payload and much more expensive equipment to support them. I think this makes mirrorless cameras much more versatile, because you can easily mount them to gimbals and in more unique places. If you wanted to, you could eventually rig your mirrorless camera up to the size and weight of a cinema camera, but it would come at a significant cost. When it comes to the camera alone, without any stabilizers, I much prefer a cinema camera because it's easier to get stable footage without any added accessories. Looking at some of the internal features, I've noticed that cinema cameras usually come with a built-in ND filter, whereas mirrorless cameras usually opt for in-body image stabilization. Both are great features, and I can't really speak to which one's better. You could always add an ND filter to a mirrorless camera, but having it built in is far better. In the past, I've forgotten my ND filter, and I almost always need it. Perhaps the biggest factor is cost. Cinema cameras are almost always at least double the cost of a mirrorless camera. This is something that will force you to think about what your needs are and which camera best suits your needs. There are a lot of people out there doing both video and photography, but if you're primarily doing video, it will be a tough call to make. In terms of operation, a cinema camera will require a lot more time to prepare and set up for a shoot. It also takes a lot more time to power on, so once the shoot has begun, the camera will most likely have to remain on. Also, whenever you want to change frame rates or resolutions, the camera will have to reboot. This means you'll want to have all your shots planned out, so you know when you'll be shooting different frame rates. Although cinema cameras are slower in some aspects, I find it much faster in run-and-gun style shooting situations, thanks to the camera's physical design. Because of the shoulder-mounted system, it's easy to get a wide variety of shots in different angles. And changing certain settings is sped up because of the access to all the physical buttons on the side of the camera. One thing I was surprised to find true about both styles of camera is that they're often both very durable. My mirrorless camera, the Panasonic S1H, has been through a lot. It's been sprayed by waterfalls in Iceland, recorded hours of interview footage, and I've even taken it out in a blizzard. Although I've only had the FX9 for a short period of time, it's been through quite a bit already, and I can already tell that it's going to be a strong workhorse of a camera. But if the shot calls for it, I'm not afraid to put my gear in harm's way. I feel confident in both of these cameras, and that's important regardless which style of camera you choose. This next point is pretty superficial, but it's true. If somebody's paying you a lot of money to make a video for them, they want to see professional gear. You can make great videos with virtually any camera, but there's something to be said about showing up to a paid job with a big, professional-looking camera. I have found both styles of cameras to be extremely useful in their own ways. I really appreciate the flexibility of the smaller mirrorless cameras, plus they often cost much less. If you're somebody who shoots professional video multiple days out of the week, then I would consider getting a cinema camera. I know it's not the most clear answer, but the line between a professional and a consumer video camera is almost non-existent nowadays. Many features that cinematographers were envious of in the past of photo cameras, like full-frame sensors and autofocus, are now common features in cinema cameras. And vice versa, many mirrorless photo cameras now can record high-quality 4K video, and some of them even shoot 10-bit video. I hope this video was informative and gave you some insight into the topic. It really comes down to what your needs are as a creator. If you have any questions about this topic, please feel free to leave me a comment, and thanks for watching.